Greetings, faithful. We're going to be jumping into something a bit different today. This video is the first of a series of videos I will be making to document the story of the 19th level of my current campaign, the God War. I am still running this plot at my table as I put this video out, but I am several weeks ahead of each video in real time, so my players cannot glean too much insight into where I'm going if they happen to watch these. The goal of this series is to inspire GMs to attempt to stretch their creative muscles and attempt those grand storylines that seem too large to execute. Because if I can do it, so can you. This campaign started in the module Ghosts of Saltmarsh. I ran that pretty much straight up, and then followed it up with all three parts of Against the Giants from Tales of the Yawning Portal. And from there, the rest is homebrew insanity of my own design. We are fairly deep into my world at this point, so there will of course be some context I will need to explain periodically, and I will do my best to make sure everything is clear and intelligible. But if I should fall short or miss a detail that screams at you, please drop a comment and I will gladly clarify. Oh, and before I forget, like and subscribe. Go buy a hymn or 5 from the hymn shop. Help me make some cool stuff. Oh, and stay tuned for a quick update on the Best of album at the end of the video.
Yes, enough of the bloody pomp. Have at him!
To begin our tale, I must first tell you of a New Year's tradition. Every year I run a one-shot of D&D on New Year's Eve. I set a game, and whoever makes it, makes it. I typically make it something special. Like one year I revealed the Labyrinth of Doom. This last New Year's game, I ran a one-shot in the same continuity as my primary campaign, set in the same region, but with different characters. I promised the players Easter eggs for the campaign if they played the one-shot. This game was a wild ride through Ralishaz's Tower of Luck. The goal of the game was to clean up a mess left behind by one of the primary campaign's PCs who had died and went to limbo. It was chaos, with lots of strange occurrences. About half of my regular table was there, and a rookie. So, it was a level 5 game, and I made it seem like a fun but ultimately disposable game. The players never saw it coming. I used that one shot to explain all of the exposition of why the campaign's level 19 was happening. Not only explain it, but the players in that game are the reason it ended up happening in the first place. My campaign's primary villain is Granny Nightshade of the Dreadwood, a legendary demi-goddess night hag. She has been one step ahead of the players for 18 levels, always just out of reach, even directly showing up a few times with the players able to do nothing to her. So, they really hate her. When one of my players chose to be a warlock for the one-shot, I saw my chance. He asked what patron would make sense for the game. I told him Granny would make the most sense. He was intrigued, as he thought it may let him get more insight into the main villain. He loves custom modifications to PC builds, so I gave him some bells and whistles to make him forget about looking too deep. And his patron only gave him a single directive. When the stone is offered, you must accept it and attune to it. Fail, and lose your powers immediately. He also got an imp familiar who was loyal to Granny, and pushed him to keep his promise. Like I said, the player loves modifying PCs, and getting a magic item in a one-shot can be pretty rare. I had the game start in the city of Sanduchar, a place my players knew well, as it had been the base camp for the invading sea princes during the war. Sanduchar is pressed right up against the Dreadwood, Granny's turf, and is expanding, quite literally. One of the ongoing threats in my campaign is the rapid expansion of the Dreadwood. Trees growing overnight, the boundaries have extended miles beyond normal, enveloping dozens of towns, with their people being either killed or taken to become one of Granny's experiments. So I set the game the night Granny's army came to take Sanduchar. My players know this is a death sentence, as their much higher level characters had to run away and barely survived one of these occurrences.
Run away! Run away! Run away!
So 4 level 5 players are totally screwed. But as my players began losing ground in the battle and were retreating, the barkeep called to them from the tavern. "Quick! Get in here! I've got a way out!" The players ran into the tavern and realized something was strange. The barkeep's eyes looked weird, and it seemed like everything outside the tavern just seemed to be ignoring the bar altogether. The abominations, vampires, and corrupted treants just went by like it wasn't even there. My players knew the barkeep was actually Ralishaz the Unlooked For, the god of ill luck, as he had come up a few times by this point. But their current characters shouldn't know that, so they had to play dumb through the whole scene, which was just fun for me to watch them all squirm in their chairs, knowing full well how caustic Ralishaz can be, but having to play the scene as oblivious. He said he had a way out. But they had to do him a favor. See, his turtle made quite a mess of his tower, and he needs the players to go close all the doors. This probably sounds like gibberish, but the player who normally plays a turtle monk knew exactly what it meant. The players agreed after Ralishaz dropped the illusion masking them, and the tavern began to get swarmed by an army of monsters. He whisked them away to the Tower of Luck in Limbo, a place less chaotic than the surrounding insanity, but barely holding itself together. Ralishaz changed forms several times, gave them some useless advice, and let them spin the wheel, then sent them into the tower. The tower itself had no map or chartable course. The players had to follow the trail left behind by the turtle. I used this whole game to just throw weird stuff at my players, like Zvarts and homebrew demo dogs from Stranger Things. Just random. Chaos atop chaos. So when the players found a dead cleric with an Ioun stone, the imp had to nudge the warlock to claim the stone. He did, because it was a really rare variety and attuned to it during a rest. He was expecting a curse or something terrible to happen, but nothing came. He figured he won out and caught a dope magic item, and that was that. They went on their merry way, closing all the doors and killing the monsters loose in the tower. Once they closed the last door, Ralishaz returned and promised to send them to a place of their choosing as a reward. One player chose Port Toli as their character was a pirate, and it's basically Tortuga from Pirates of the Caribbean, and it theoretically got them very far away from Granny. Or so they thought. The players returned to Oerth. At first, everything seemed normal. A bit rainy, but fine. As they get into town, they begin overhearing arguments. One of the scholars from the library is freaking out about all these books that just appeared out of nowhere. Thousands of them. Most in languages he's never seen before. The players shrug and move on. There are drinks to be had. One of the players was a cleric and went to heal themselves, as they had forgotten to after the battle. But when they went to cast, nothing happened. Their magic didn't work at all. The warlock, however, seemed unaffected. The rain picks up more, and the wind as well. Suddenly, a beautiful man walks up to the warlock and asks him about the stone over his head. The player makes up some jazz, and the man sees through it immediately. The man casts Sending, saying to someone that he has tracked down the contraband. The man then proceeds to grab the warlock, unveil his angelic wings, and flies into the sky, dragging the warlock, kicking and screaming. See, my game is set in Greyhawk. Ioun does not exist there. So, that stone has no place in this world, but it being here spread Ioun's influence. She is very curious, so she came to check the place out, but doing so opened a door and pulled a whole slew of other deities into the realm. Any deity who crossed over that had too similar a portfolio to one of the gods of this realm caused massive instability. So, the Stormlord Talos crossed over from Toril, for example, but Procan already is the Stormlord of Oerth. So, now the weather is breaking as their fight begins. Or, in my world, I use Wee Jas as the most active magic deity, but Mystra has shown up. So, magic is really messed up. I ran this game on New Year's Eve 25 to 26. Around the same time, I had just started the 18th level of my game, giving the players 4 months of real world's heads up time that this would be happening. And they were still blindsided by it when it happened. But that is where we will pick up in the next entry, at the beginning of the 19th level of the campaign, and the start of the God War. It's gonna get weird. So, I'm excited to share the last few weeks I was not slacking off. I was getting some balls rolling. I have assembled some great musicians and an awesome singer for the first song to be recorded without AI usage for the Best Of album. The first hymn to get produced has been selected, and it should be going into production in the next few weeks. This will almost certainly be a much slower process than the other hymns, but I'm excited to get to see one of the hymns I wrote actually get made. Fingers crossed that this actually goes as planned and I don't end up with a bunch of flaky artists bailing on me at the last second. May the gods guide us as we sing their praises. Now, if you've got ideas, suggestions, questions, comments, cries of anguish, sacred oaths, or vile curses, throw them down in the comments below. And may the gods walk with you always.